The one reason Seattle schools are still open is because the CDC believes coronavirus is endemic in Seattle public schools. They're afraid if they let the kids go home, that those kids will infect their elderly grandparents and caregivers. So they're actually thinking about quarantining the kids at school. But don't take my word for it. Below information comes from Patty Hayes, Director of Public Health, Seattle and King County, in this video clip. It's from the Governor's News Conference. You'll only play a short snippet because they'll copyright claim it. A link to this will be in the potterblog.com webpage. But listen closely.
When we close a school, children have to go somewhere. So if you think about families, where often are the caregivers? It might be grandma, grandpa, an elderly member of the family, the exact people that we're concerned about. So sometimes keeping children in the classroom and under the supervision of the school is the best advice. And then if they are symptomatic, we certainly work immediately with that school and the structure that they have for the school nurse and healthcare identification.
And think about that. It's a very sly way of saying that, but obviously the only way sending kids home could be problematic is as if the COVID-19 genies are already out of the bottle with coronavirus endemic in the school system. It's the only way that makes any sense at all. People didn't listen to what she said. They didn't analyze it. Otherwise, that'd be on the world news. Or maybe it wouldn't because it'd scare the crap out of people. It's also clear that unless there's overwhelming evidence of an outbreak at school, parents will not easily tolerate their children being locked down in school quarantine. So given those two items, basically the only strategy King County Public can have is to keep schools open as long as possible, thereby minimizing the kids' grandparents' daytime exposure, while simultaneously allowing cases to fester in school until harsher action becomes publicly palpable. Now, if they actually go through and quarantine kids at school, that's your sign that this is a nightmare scenario, because the outrage coming out of that would be so severe. The only way that makes any sense they would even do that, the fact they're even talking about this, is because they're expecting a nightmare scenario. So here's our discussion of this. While Seattle public health's position may make sense at the herd level, at my individual level, it's not sensible. As such, if I lived in Washington State, I'd immediately file a letter of intent to have my children homeschool. I would not have let my kids return to school today, Monday morning. Unfortunately, Washington State does not trust people to homeschool their children. It's also likely why they want to keep infected kids under their charge at in-school quarantine instead of then giving them back to their parents. It is possible to homeschool in Seattle, but they don't make it easy. There's the Homeschool Legal Defense Association. They can help you out with that. Here's a link to it on our webpage. Now, if you're interested, well, let me say one other thing here. You know, the time is drawing nigh to get out of Dodge. Pretty soon you're not going to have a choice of whether to hunker down or to get out. As it stands now, the entire West Coast is infected. Traveling north and south won't make any improvement. Traveling eastward, if you go far enough, might get you out of the crowd, but there are so few choke points that is easily controlled. And the supply chain won't support mass travel in that direction. Maybe the safest place to go is to drive towards Salt Lake City and Provo, Utah in that corridor. Take an early spring break. But if you don't act fast, there won't be much time to act at all. In today's CDC telecon, they've admitted that they're not going to do much more in the way of contact tracing on the West Coast because it is so widespread there, it doesn't really matter. It's now about controls. Now, we do have some risk mitigation items that we've purchased. They're in order of importance. If you're interested in these things, The blood oxygen meters are the single most important thing, I believe, because they will let you know whether your cough or cold is actually life-threatening pneumonia. And that can keep you from going to an infected doctor's office or medical care facility until you need to. Because that's primarily how it's been spreading on the West Coast, is via the healthcare system. HERD doesn't know about blood oxygen meters yet, so they're still available. Thermometers, they're very, very scarce. A blood pressure machine, also a good thing. All these things here will let you engage in telemedicine to help yourself in a way that can keep you safe. I'll also give a link to some general risk mitigation items that we're using. There's PDI Prevantix. This is a skin wipe with chlorhexidine and alcohol in it. It kills coronavirus rapidly. When it dries, it leaves behind a coating of chlorhexidine that will continue to kill for hours. We also use Hibiclin surgical scrub. We use it as a skin lotion. Also contains chlorhexidine. Will kill for a long time. But this stuff, the herd has become aware of it. So the only thing that's really readily available is the half-strength stuff made for veterinary use. The hand sanitizers, they're gone. Those other things that are important, garbage bags. And if you don't have garbage bags and you're staying in place on the West Coast, you're hosed. Toilet paper, obviously people know about that. Gas cans. If you're going to try to bug out to the east, you're not going to make it far past Spokane without tanking up, and you don't want to tank up. These are gas cans that are suitable for storage and use. Most gas cans don't work well enough. They're not designed to refill cars with. They're designed to refill lawnmowers. These better ones will work with cars, but you may have to go cheap. The safest is this Explosive version here, but those are hard to get to. Car parts. I don't know if there's been a run on car parts yet. It's all made in China. You got to decide whether you're going to hunker down or get out of Dodge. But one thing is for sure, our kids would not be in public school at the moment. Pray.